Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. A little over 2 weeks ago, Warner Bros. Discovery had their big upfront for this year, being 2023, where they're going to announce all their big upcoming movies and shows for all of their properties and all of their channels and networks. And one network that was surprisingly missing from this upfront was Cartoon Network. There was really no mention of Cartoon Network, other than reports indicating from the upfront that they announced that Adult Swim will now be taking over Cartoon Network at the 6 p.m. hour, as opposed to the 7 p.m. hour as it currently is today. And now we actually have the official announcement on what this is going to look like. So initially the reports were indicating that Cartoon Network would be signing off to Adult Swim at 6 p.m. starting this fall, but we actually have a date, and it's a lot sooner than I think some people were expecting, and it's actually going to be happening on August 28th of this year. And Adult Swim, as I said before, will now be taking over at 6 p.m. But there's a little bit of a catch with that, a little bit of an interesting thing that's actually not that bad for the network and can actually be regarded as being good. So on Monday through Friday, Adult Swim, when it takes over at 6 p.m., will be launching into a brand new block titled Checkered Past. And this block essentially is going to be dedicated to airing old Cartoon Network classics, and there are listing shows such as Dexter's Laboratory, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Ed and Eddie as being a part of this block. And this is something that honestly I have been hoping for and wanting to see for years with Cartoon Network. I have said in countless videos that I wanted to see Cartoon Network make a classics block. I was saying do it maybe every Friday night. You have like 2 or 3 hours of classics airing on the channel, but in an ideal world, this is exactly what I wanted to see. A block airing every single night that is dedicated to airing classic Cartoon Network shows, and we're finally getting that. One thing I'll say about this, and there's more about this announcement by the way, which I'll get to in a little bit, but before I get to that, the one thing I will say is I'm kind of a bit curious as to why Checkered Past is a part of Adult Swim and not Cartoon Network. Like, to me, that doesn't really make much sense. It really seems like they're trying to abandon the Cartoon Network brand because they see Adult Swim as being this leading brand in the animation industry as opposed to Cartoon Network, which I kind of think is stupid, honestly. I feel like there's no reason why Checkered Past can't be a part of Cartoon Network. It just doesn't really make much sense to me why this has to be an Adult Swim block as opposed to just being, you know, a regular old Cartoon Network block. Like I said, it really seems to me like they're kind of abandoning Cartoon Network. Like, I feel like Checkered Past is a great name for this block for multiple reasons. Number one, obviously the checkerboard motif that Cartoon Network has always had, and Checkered Past is indicating these are the shows from Cartoon Network's past. But on the flip side, I feel like it's also kind of symbolizing that, hey, Checkered Past is Cartoon Network is in the past. It's not really going to be a big part of Warner Bros. Discovery going forward. And as sad as that is to say, and as sad as it is to even fathom, it really does seem like that's what's happening here. Checkered Past is going to be a part of Adult Swim because I don't think Cartoon Network's going to have that much of a future going forward. It seems like they're really prioritizing Adult Swim, and I made a whole video on this recently, and I'll leave a card above to that, but it really seems like the priority going forward is going to be Adult Swim. But on the positive though, we're getting classics on Cartoon Network / Adult Swim every day. This is something that I've been saying for years that I want to see, and the only thing we do not know about this new block, Checkered Past, is exactly how long is it going to be on the air for. Right now it just says it starts at 6 p.m. Is it 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., maybe 10 p.m.? That we do not know. And the other thing we do not know is they only mention shows that are part of Cartoon Network's very early history, like The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Conan Kids Next Door was not mentioned in this, but I assume it's probably a part of the block. All these shows are from either the late 90s or early 2000s. So is this going to have something like, I don't know, Chowder as a part of the block, shows from the later 2000s and maybe even the early 2010s? That remains to be seen, but that's what's happening Monday through Fridays on Adult Swim starting on August 28th. Then on the weekends, on Saturdays, the new 6 p.m. hour for Adult Swim is going to be dedicated to airing reruns of current TVPG originals such as Unicorn Warriors Eternal and My Adventures with Superman. So this is going to be your rerun block. I mean, I think that's fine. I think it's great that they're actually going to be airing reruns of shows on the channel, because as we've seen with Cartoon Network for the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, they really haven't been doing that for the shows that are currently airing new episodes. It's kind of like the episode airs and then you're not going to see it again, unless if you go on like an on-demand service back in the day, or now a streaming service. And then the Sunday hour will continue to see Acme Night be a broadcast from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. as we currently have right now, so that's not changing at all. But yeah, that's what they've announced. That's going to be the new Adult Swim / Cartoon Network going forward. And we actually have a quote from Michael Oline on this change, and he says animation can both speak to multiple age groups in the moment and also find new audiences across decades. The early Cartoon Network originals like Dexter's Laboratory or Courage the Cowardly Dog are examples of shows that do both. So yeah, like I said, it's really great to see that these classics are returning, and obviously they're acknowledging that animation is not just meant for the kids ages 6 to 11, it's meant for any age group, for any demographic. More than, kids can enjoy these shows, and it's cool to hear him say all of that. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, what about creating new shows that also do the same thing? Like, don't get me wrong, I love these classic series, and like I said, I am ecstatic to see that they're going to be airing every single day, Monday through Friday on the channel. But at the same time, it's like, can you also create new content that does the same thing that these shows did back in the day? Can't you create new shows that appeal to all audiences, as opposed to, Cartoon Network right now just having your Teen Titans Go's and your Craig of the Creeks on and We Baby Bears, and that's pretty much it? Can we create other shows that have these deeper, darker undertones that are meant for older audiences, but also have that child entry point in them to get younger audiences involved in them as well? That's the one takeaway I have from this, is from his quote, is that. And also as well, he only mentions the early Cartoon Network originals, which again goes back to what I said before. Is this block only going to be the late 90s and early 2000s, or is it going to be something that has, I don't know, like a Ben 10 Alien Force on it or a Symbionic Titan? That remains to be seen, and we'll have to wait and see on all of that. But overall, I think this announcement is both positive and negative. It's positive in the sense that we're getting what we wanted. We're getting a classics block. This is something that we've been asking for years with Cartoon Network, and they're finally doing it. But on the flip side of that, they're not doing it on Cartoon Network, and Checkered Past is signifying, yes, that classics are returning, but it also is signifying what could be the beginning of the end for Cartoon Network. Checkered Past, as I said before, Cartoon Network's a part of the past now. It seems like going forward, they're really going to be prioritizing Adult Swim, and also a part of this Deadline article, which I forgot to mention that this is all coming from Deadline, so shout out to them. But another thing coming from this Deadline article is that they're stating that after Adult Swim started an hour earlier, going from 8 p.m. as it was prior to now being on at 7 p.m., how the ratings have gone up since then, and apparently it's gone from being the 12th highest primetime block to now being the 6th highest primetime block, which is great. But it's kind of seeming like, to me, that Warner Brothers Discovery is kind of getting this sense that Adult Swim is the brand they should be prioritizing going forward, because this is what people want to see. I don't really understand that sentiment, because I don't really think it's a brand that people are wanting to see over Cartoon Network. I just think that the content you're making on Cartoon Network is just not appealing to most people. And like I said before in prior videos, you're taking some of the content you were making for Cartoon Network, such as Unicorn Wars Eternal and My Adventures with Superman, shows that people were looking forward to, and you're moving them to Adult Swim. So yeah, obviously people are going to tune into Adult Swim since that's where these shows are airing. So I genuinely do think that this might be the beginning of the end for Cartoon Network. Like, I don't think the brand's going to ever go away entirely. I feel like they're going to still want it there just to have something for kids to tune into. But I feel like where the real meat's going to be going forward, and content wise, where the real spotlight shows are going to be, are on Adult Swim, which it kind of is just a little bit head scratching to me why there's a mentality that no one likes Cartoon Network anymore. Everyone wants to tune into Adult Swim. That's not the case. It's just that Cartoon Network hasn't been putting out good content at all, really. Well, I don't want to say at all. Just the majority of the content hasn't been what people were hoping for out of Cartoon Network, or rather what people expect to see from Cartoon Network. So they've been tuning to Adult Swim instead, because that's where we've been getting more quality content meant for older audiences, as opposed to the younger stuff that we've been getting on Cartoon Network. So yeah, maybe I'll make a whole video discussing what I think's going to happen to Cartoon Network going forward, because I don't think the future is all that bright for the channel anymore. At least the animation space within Warner Brothers Discovery looks like it might have a pretty bright future on Adult Swim, but as for Cartoon Network itself, it's not looking that great for it. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys guys think about all this? Do you guys kind of agree with me that this is like bittersweet news? It's bitter in that this is kind of signifying the potential end of Cartoon Network, but it's sweet in that we're finally getting a classics block that we've all been asking for years. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.